Have you ever felt like you're completely behind in life? Like everyone else got some secret manual on how to make money and somehow you missed it? I get it. I really do. My name is Andrew Meatrich, and I want to tell you something that might change everything for you. I used to be that guy who was broke, stressed, and honestly too ashamed to even check my bank balance. I made every single money mistake you can think of. I bought things I couldn't afford, ignored my debt, and convinced myself that rich people just got lucky. But here's what I discovered. Sometimes the hard way, rich people aren't just lucky. They follow specific principles that anyone can learn. Today, I'm going to share 5 brutal truths about building wealth that I wish someone had told me when I was starting out. These aren't get-rich-quick schemes or some guru nonsense. This is real-world advice that actually works, even if you're starting from zero. Whether you're working a job you hate, drowning in student loans, or just feeling completely lost about your financial future, this video is for you. I promise you'll walk away with a completely different perspective on money and what it really takes to build wealth in today's world. Before we dive in, hit that like button if you're ready to take control of your money, and subscribe because honestly, even if today's topic doesn't feel super relevant right now, the next one could completely change your life. Let me tell you about something that happened to me recently that perfectly illustrates what we're dealing with today. I was sitting in my usual coffee shop when I noticed this young guy, probably early 20s, working behind the counter. Let's call him Jake. Jake reminded me so much of myself at that age, ambitious but struggling, working hard but not seeing the results he wanted. I watched him approach this older businessman in an expensive suit during his break, clearly looking for some guidance. What happened next made my blood boil. This older guy, Mr. Grumpy I called him, just completely shut Jake down, started going on about how young people today are lazy, want everything handed to them, don't know what real work is. Classic stuff. I couldn't just sit there. I walked over and told Mr. Grumpy exactly what I thought. The world has changed. The challenges young people face today are different, not easier. Jake was juggling school and work, planning for his future in an economy that's nothing like what we grew up with. Later, I sat with Jake during his lunch break and shared some real advice. That conversation got me thinking. There are millions of young people out there just like Jake, hungry for success but getting terrible advice from people who don't understand today's world. And here's where most people get stuck. They listen to outdated advice from people who built their wealth in a completely different economy. Here's the first brutal truth nobody talks about. For the first 20 years of your life, you're basically useless when it comes to making money. I know that sounds harsh, but think about it. You spend 10 years as a kid having fun, then another 10 learning things like Shakespeare and geometry that have zero connection to building wealth. It's only when you hit your 20s that you step into the real world and actually start figuring out how money works. So when you see 20-year-olds on social media driving Lamborghinis, don't beat yourself up. You're not behind, you're just getting started. But here's where most people mess up completely. They skip the most important step and try to jump straight to making millions. It's like trying to cut down a tree with a dull axe. It's just not going to work. You need to sharpen your axe first. What does that mean? Master a high-income skill. I'm talking about skills that can make you at least $10,000 a month. Video editing, copywriting, software development, sales. These are the skills that open doors. I learned this lesson the hard way when I was struggling financially. I focused on building my carpentry skills until I became really good at it. That skill didn't just pay the bills, it opened doors to opportunities I never would have had otherwise. Don't rush this step. Sharpening your axe takes time, but once you have that skill, even if someone took away all your money, you'd still be able to earn far more than the average person. Here's truth number 2, and this one's going to hurt. Your money is like a stack of cookies. The more you handle them, the more they crumble away. Every time you think, I'll just move this money here, trade a little there, buy this thing, you're destroying your wealth. I used to be the worst at this. I'd move money around constantly, always thinking I was being smart. But here's what Warren Buffett figured out that most people never do. He made 99% of his $137 billion after he turned 50. How? Compound interest. But compound interest can't work its magic if you keep messing with your money. You need to lock it away somewhere safe, where it can grow without you touching it. That means investing in assets, not just letting it sit in a bank account. I personally love the stock market. I've made millions doing this. But here's the key. Once I invested that money, I never saw it as mine anymore. It was like it disappeared. And you know what? That lit a fire under me like you wouldn't believe. I was always hustling for more because I constantly felt broke. If you can invest just $250 a month in a low-cost index fund with a 10% return, in 40 years, you'll have over $1.5 million. Start with whatever you can, even $5 a day, the price of a coffee. The key is consistency, not the amount. Truth number 3 is the big one. The biggest thing stopping you from becoming rich isn't lack of money or skills, it's fear. But not the fear you think. You probably think you're afraid of failure, but in reality, you're terrified of what other people will think if you fail. I've talked to so many young people with incredible dreams who are paralyzed by this fear. They want to start a business, invest their money, take a calculated risk, but they're too worried about looking stupid if it doesn't work out. But here's the thing, if you're doing the same thing as everyone else, you're going to get the same results as everyone else. Taking calculated risks is the only way to get ahead. When you're young, you have the most valuable thing in the world, time. If you mess up, you have decades to recover. That means your fear level should be at its lowest right now, not highest. I remember when I was terrified to quit my carpentry job because of a bullying manager. I was so scared of what people would think. What if I failed? But quitting turned out to be the best decision I ever made. If I'd let fear win, I wouldn't be here today. As you get older, your ability to take risks gets smaller and smaller. Don't find yourself at 60 saying, I wish I had tried that business idea, or I should have invested when I was young. Time is your superpower. Use it. Here's truth number 4 that'll blow your mind. Most people never escape what psychologists call the Dunning-Kruger effect. They think they know enough about money after reading a few articles or watching some videos, but they're actually sitting on what I call Mount Stupid. Getting rich isn't about luck, it's a learnable skill, but it's a never-ending process of learning and applying. Even at my age, I'm still learning. I watch YouTube, follow financial news, study what's happening in crypto and tech. This keeps me ahead of people half my age who think they already know everything. The Western world teaches us completely backwards. Go to school until 18, maybe college until 22, then your learning is done. That's insane. The world is changing faster than ever, and if you stop learning in your 20s, you're going to get left behind. Your brain needs software updates just like a computer. If you don't keep updating it and clearing out the viruses, which in this case is outdated knowledge, it's going to break down. I challenge myself to learn something new from every person I meet. It keeps me humble and keeps me growing. If I hadn't learned about cryptocurrency in 2019, I wouldn't have invested a small portion of my portfolio and made incredible returns. The phrase, if you don't use it, you'll lose it, has never been more true. Stay curious, stay hungry for knowledge, and watch how your income follows your learning. Truth number 5 is probably the most important one. If you want to become the first millionaire in your family, you need to break the poverty cycle, and that starts with who you spend time with. A recent study found that every 10% increase in wealthy friends was associated with nearly a 3% greater chance of investing in the stock market and a 5% increase in saving money. This isn't about using people, it's about learning from them. When I explain investing in my videos, I'm always shocked by comments saying, if it's so simple, why isn't everyone doing it? The answer is simple. They're surrounded by people who don't invest, who think it's risky or complicated or only for rich people. But once you start making friends who can explain these concepts in plain English, who are already building wealth, your entire perspective changes. You realize that investing isn't scary, starting a side business isn't impossible, and building wealth isn't just for other people. I'm not saying ditch all your old friends, and I'm definitely not saying become friends with someone just because they're rich. But consider joining clubs, taking classes, or going to events where financially successful people spend time. You'll naturally connect with like-minded people. Your circle of influence determines your income more than almost anything else. If everyone around you is broke and complaining about money, guess what you'll be doing? But if you're surrounded by people who are building wealth and taking control of their finances, that becomes your new normal. Look, if you've made it this far in the video, I already know you're going to be successful. You're young, you're ambitious, and most importantly, you're willing to learn. That puts you ahead of 90% of people your age. The 5 truths I've shared today aren't just theory. They're the exact principles I used to go from broke and ashamed to financially free. Master a high-income skill, invest consistently and leave it alone. Embrace calculated risks while you have time, never stop learning, and surround yourself with people who are building wealth. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start. There's never going to be a perfect moment. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Remember, small shifts lead to massive changes over time. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. Pick one principle from today's video and focus on that for the next month. Master it, then move to the next one. You are the future leaders of this world, and I believe in you completely. There are still some of us older folks who understand what you're going through and want to help you succeed. Before you go, I want you to know that understanding money is just the beginning. Next week, I'm going to show you the 3 psychological traps that keep 90% of people broke their entire lives, and more importantly, how to avoid them completely. You won't want to miss that one.